Welcome to a swelteringly hot day in the African bush. And can you believe this morning that those ribs of this young male impala were full of meat? The Africa's cleanup crew, the white-backed vultures and associated other vultures have picked the carcass clean since this morning, leaving almost little or nothing behind. Isn't that absolutely incredible? Good afternoon, my name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Craig, aka the Batman, on camera, and you're on your very own live African safari. Remember to send us through questions on the hashtag Safari Live, or you can just pop it on whatever feed you're watching on. So this impala was killed by lions last night, and the reason I can tell that without even seeing a lion track is how big the spread was from where they fought over it and from where the kill was made. There was absolute pandemonium at some point last night. I'm pretty sure it was the 3 avoca males, and you can see the grass is flattened all the way. There we go, all the way under that marula tree, and you can see there was a big fight over the remnants of that carcass. I just came back to check if anything else might have stolen it. So there was enough meat left that a leopard might have stolen it, and Shadulu is in this area, or hyenas. So if they had stolen it, they might have dragged it back towards the den. So we came to have a look. Alas, only the vultures fed on it. So it's now, as I said, quite hot. It's 33 degrees Celsius, about 80 Fahrenheit. So quite warm, and I'm hoping to find some elephants around the waterholes. So that's my first plan of action. As it gets cooler later in the day, I'm going to head back into this area, and hopefully the Shadulu female starts getting on the move. Kestrel Fox says the 3 who males? Kestrel, the avoca males, and they are a new coalition of young males that are have come in from the north, from the Timbavati, from an area to the west of where the Birmingham boys came in from, and they are getting to that age where they might start making a play at taking over a territory of their own. At the moment, they make little forays down into Djuma, Arathusa, Sibambili, but then scuttle back towards the north where they feel a little bit more comfortable. With the Birminghams quite, I suppose, preoccupied at the moment down south, around Londolozi with the Salala Pride and the Mangen Pride and the Styx Pride with new cubs and stuff in those areas. That means there is a sort of gap up in the northern parts of the Birmingham's territory for these new male lions to move into. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are very happy that my good friend Tristan is back. Let's see if he can remember how not to fall out of a game drive vehicle.
And so it starts. Brent Leo Smith is going to be giving me lots of trouble, I'm sure, now that he's back at Djuma. But yes, it is a very, 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 very good day to be back at Djuma. I'm thoroughly excited to be back and be behind the wheel, and hopefully it will be a good afternoon to be back as well. But as Brent mentioned, my name is Tristan. On camera, I've got David. There we go. There's Darby's thumb, which is really cool to be back with David. I haven't been with him for quite some time, so looking forward to it this afternoon. Now, as Brent said, I'm going to try and stay inside the vehicle. I've managed to stay inside the vehicle successfully now for the last couple of months, so we're going to keep trying to do that. But while we try to stay inside the vehicle, we're going to go scratch around on the far sort of eastern side of Djuma this afternoon. We're going to go try and see what we can pick up on the side. I believe there were lots of different tracks around, and there's been lots of interesting sightings happening. So just going to go scratch around and see what there is. It's just to really familiarize myself once again with everything that's going on this side, and hopefully we'll get lucky with something of interest. I know the Nkuhumas were on Torchwood at some point this morning, and there was buffalo around, there was ellies around, I know Fang is around, so lots of options in this eastern quadrant, hopefully, and so hopefully there'll be something interesting to see. Now, I believe a lot of you are happy that I am back, which is very kind of you. It's always nice when you come back and there's a nice reception. It's good. It always kind of feels like you come back home when you get to Djuma. It's interesting. You kind of go away on leave and it always feels like you get back home when you get here and you see all your friends again. And so nice to catch up with Brent, because I haven't really spent much time with Brent in the last year since he went to the Mara. In fact, I hadn't seen him at all until the day I went on leave, when I bumped into him on the road actually going out. And so it's really good to kind of catch up with him and all the others that I haven't seen for the last 3 weeks. So it's been very, very cool to see everybody again. So AB, you say yay, Tristan is back and I'm very tanned. Well, I don't know, AB, I'm not sure if I am, but I spent a lot of time in the sun, I suppose, because I went off on a crazy expedition into Botswana, and it was all kinds of fun that we had. It was very, very wet and flooded, and ended up driving through more water than I knew even existed in southern Africa. But it was an amazing time, and had a really, really good time, and spent a lot of time out of the car. So I suppose maybe that's why I've got a bit more of a tan on at the moment, which is, I suppose, it's good. A bit of vitamin D is always healthy and always makes one feel good about life. Possibly also because I did get stuck while I was on leave and spent the better part of about 2 hours trying to dig us out, and so maybe it's just still mud and all kinds of other things that are still attached to me after that expedition, because that was quite something. We got stuck in a massive big puddle that was across the road, and a truck had gone before us, and the truck had gotten stuck, and it had left these beautiful 4 nicely well placed holes. And so as we went in, our car just went straight into these big holes, and we ended up sitting and couldn't really do much. So we tried to dig ourselves out, that didn't work. Then we jammed a whole bunch of logs and rocks and whatever we could find inside and under the tires, and that didn't really work. Ended up getting splinters all over the hands and cuts all over the place. Then I fell on my backside, which was very, very funny, because the mud was very, very slippery, and I was trying to kind of go down the steep embankment to try get to where the car was, and kind of misplaced my feet and, well, ended up on my bum, which was quite very funny. And that was kind of where the mud started. And so that was great until somebody came along and eventually pulled us out a few sort of hours later. Now, Dale, you're wondering how Botswana is different to Djuma. Well, it depends where you are in Botswana, because Botswana's got a very diverse amount of places to go, and Brent will attest to this, given that he grew up actually in Botswana. But you've got 2 kind of main sections to Botswana. You've got the Kalahari Basin, which is very dry, desert-like conditions. So that's where you'll find the Central Kalahari Game Reserve, and a place called Naipans, which is a big sort of salt pan that has a lot of animals, and we actually went there as well. And it's now during this time that the zebra migration is going on, and so thousands of zebras on these big salt pans. It's absolutely beautiful. And then if you go further northeast, you then start going up into the Okavango Delta, which is a big, basically wetland area that, well, was not a very clever idea from our part, because like I say, I think we ended up driving through more water than we did dry land over the time that we were there. But the Delta is an interesting place, because you've got big mapani trees, which is, we don't actually get mapanis here on Djuma, and there's huge groves of them, and then you kind of go through those mapanis, and then you start hitting the edges of the wetland, and then you get these kind of islands where there's water channels that go around, and then big grasslands in between that, where you find all kinds of animals like red lechwe and all kinds of crazy cool birds that occur in those areas. So it's very different to here. It doesn't look at all the same in any way. It's a completely different environment. Good. Right, now I'm going to try and actually find some animals and stop waffling on about Botswana, and while I do that, let's send you across to Taylor McCurdy, who has found her very first animal for the afternoon.
I have got a congregation of animals here, from swines to all sorts of fowls. It's all happening at this little pan this afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian, and we're hot. It is stinking hot today. But we're thinking about perhaps heading down towards Chitwa Dam for a little swim. Also, Seb, you've got a weird... You have is it a scorpion? Hang on, everybody. Stand by. What is that? No, wait, hang on.
It's a prawn.
It's a prawn. Literally. Oh, no, it's not. It's not. Do you know what, there was the wing that we were looking at.
Yeah.
Then why am I scared of it? Gone. No, it's gone now. I don't know what that was. It was the creepiest looking insect I've ever seen in my life. It looked like it was a scorpion, but it wasn't a scorpion. But I'm going to sit back down because I've now scared the warthog. But that was quite cool. It was just in the lens. False alarm on the scorpion. You're right, Nikki. Don't worry, I'm not going to get stung this time. And how's that warthog? We were worried that it was dead at one point because we couldn't see it moving. But it's obviously not dead. It's just exhausted from the heat. And I think that's a very clever spot it's got over there. It's got some shade. It's also got half its bottom in the water, keeping it nice and cool. Although I can't imagine that wallow will be particularly cool on a day like today. We've had some scorches the last few days, but he seems to be quite content. I do know that it's a male. Well, we can tell there was a second reason, but he's covering that part now. But he's got two very prominent warts on the side of his face. We know the girls only have one pair. The boys have two sets. Look at him, gone straight back to sleep. He's got a decent pair of tusks on him. I wonder if it's my old friend that's missing half his tail. Oh, hello, go-away bird. It decided to join and then pop back up. Again, now it's clambering around, I think, on a buffalo thorn. Yep. Watch your feet, little birdie. That's a prickly bush you're on. Very hot today as well. Linda, you said that the pig looks quite cute. It does. I kind of just want to go and snuggle up next to it. I don't think it will be too happy if I did that, though. Ravinda, you're making me envious now. You've said it looks like this pig is at the spa relaxing. Yes, he's just come, for some Sabi sand mud. Have you heard of all the amazing health benefits? It's incredible. Especially when you've had warthogs, buffalo, rhinos, elephants all coming through here, wallowing, defecating, urinating. Oh, it does wonders for one's skin. Now, if you do have any questions for me, I'd love to hear from you. Perhaps maybe about more of the health benefits. You can hashtag Safari Live, or you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat. Now, Romit, you're wondering about a warthog's lifespan. Oh, what was that, a starling? That was did you all see that bright, brilliant blue thing that just flew across the warthog? So can you blame me for getting slightly distracted there? Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Is it a Cape Glossy starling? It just looks so pretty. I'm getting to your question, I promise you. I think it... sorry, Romit, what was the question from Romit? I've now completely forgotten. Ah, yes, my bad. I apologize, Romit. I suffer from ADHD. It's a problem, and I get distracted. I try my absolute best. Well, warthogs can live for a fairly long time, but out here in the Sabi sand, because that's what your question was how long can a warthog live for, they're serious prey species, so I don't think a lot of warthogs reach their maximum lifespan. I'm going to say maybe around... 13, 14 years old, probably a little bit less than that. I reckon if a warthog made it to about 10, that would be really good going. Life is seriously tough for them out here. Really, really incredibly tough. Warthogs prey on them. My goodness. What else loves to eat a warthog? Lions, especially when there are little piglets around. Cheetah. Now... Oh, let me turn the game drive radio down because all I can hear is zzz at the moment, so that's not going to help us. We obviously don't have reception. You've now asked about the tusks and the warts on the side of their faces and when do they start getting them. I'm pretty sure with all the little piglets we've seen, it's a couple of weeks to a month before those little bumps start forming. I do stand under correction here. And with their tusks, I'm trying to think now when I've seen a warthog with its little tusks protruding. Must be at about a year. I'm sure they start growing well before that, but of course they come out from the folds of the skin. And females don't have as prominent tusks as the males do. They typically get much larger. Thank you, boy, for shuffling around. So I would say at about a year you should start to see them coming through. There we go. And he's moving around a little bit. He's a lovely boy, isn't he? Oh, this is so cool. He's coming out now. You've all got such a great sense of humor, haven't you? Matt, you've said, is ADHD a standard issue with does it come with blonde hair? I suppose. My best friend is 10 times worse than me. We're a nightmare at school together. We always got separated from one another because we not only bounced off of walls, but we distracted the entire classroom. It was a nightmare. I can't do that. I still do that. I haven't outgrown it just yet. So yes, in my case, mine came with blonde hair. It is my friend the warthog. Look here, you see how he's missing the tip of the hair on his tail? Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, what on earth are you talking about, Taylor? But I've been seeing this warthog for, I can't tell you how long. I've been seeing him since I've been working at Wild Earth. He was the warthog that chased Gwen out of her burrow. Do you remember that? Anyways, we'll sit here with my old man friend, the warthog, and hopefully he's going to go for a proper swim now. But while we wait for him to put his bikini on, or maybe he wears a Speedo, I don't know what he's into, off you go back across to Tristan.
Well, if he uses a Speedo, then Byron will definitely be able to lend him some of those, and maybe even Brent as well. I believe Brent is not impartial to a little Speedo action as well. But talking about ADHD, I imagine that Brent Leo Smith must have been blonde at some point in time as well, because he is much like Taylor in that he also is all over the place all of the time. Of course, I was never a blonde child. No, I was blonde as a kid too, and I was a nightmare in the classroom as well, Taylor, so don't worry, it's not just you. Right, Gwari Pan. I'm just driving around, really having a little look around, trying to see how things look. I see there's tracks here for a leopard, but I don't think they're very fresh at all. They're kind of going up and down by the looks of things. Just want to double check who exactly these are. This must have been for Thandi and the cub, because there's both tracks are here moving around. Now, some of them are on top of vehicle tracks, so I'm going to reposition myself just so that Dave can see them better. I wonder if she doesn't have a kill around here and has come for water during the course of the day. So if you have a look in the track that's coming along like this, those are tracks from this morning, and there quite clearly where my finger is you can see tracks for these leopards right in the middle of those vehicle tracks. Now, I need to find out from Taylor and Brent who actually drove here and whether they did drive this route this morning, but those are pretty clear and pretty fresh tracks coming from the pan itself. Now, Taylor said to me this morning that she had tracks going to the pan and then disappearing, but these tracks look like they come to the pan to drink and then back again. So I wonder if she doesn't have a little carcass somewhere here. It might be worth us investigating a little bit further as to where exactly these go. The last time we had her here doing this and moving around and walking in this area, she had that kill just off the Buffels of cut line. So I wonder if she's not moving in that direction. So I'm going to try and just have a little look. I just don't know if maybe Taylor did a loop and that's why she didn't hit those tracks. Just want to double check on this side as well, because Taylor was the one that told me she had tracks for Thandi in this area, but it looks like they might have been driven over. Let's have a look. I think we're going to just go and follow these tracks a little bit and just see. Maybe Thandi and Little One are around. That will be a wonderful way to start a cycle of work at Djuma. I think it will be a good idea. Ah, Billy, who's 5 years old, you're asking, did I see any leopards while I was away? So, Billy, yes, I did see a leopard while I was away. I didn't see any in Botswana, funnily enough, which is very disappointing. I was hoping to see them. I saw lots of tracks for leopards, but I didn't actually see a leopard itself. So I looked around, but I did see one in South Africa, in the Kruger National Park. I went to go visit a friend, and we went for a drive up near a area called Palaboa, which is north of us and is a little bit further towards sort of the Zimbabwe side. And there was a little young female that was about a year old that was sitting on a termite mound, so it was very, very nice sighting. So at least I got a leopard fixed while I was away, but I did try hard in Botswana to look for lots of them, and like I say, found lots of tracks, but because it was so wet and so kind of full of water, I think a lot of the leopards were in places that we just couldn't get to, unfortunately, and so we had to give them a little bit of a skip. But it's okay, we'll just make up for it now that we're back at Djuma and try and find as many leopards as we can over the course of the next few weeks. Now, while I check where these tracks go and whether they come out onto the cut line, I'm going to send you across to Brent Leo Smith and see where he's gone since he left his crime scene.
Well, welcome back. I'm back in that area, that Shidulu. We had the tracks of Shidulu this morning. It just got a little bit cooler quickly. This cloud cover came in, but Tristan, come in. I just want to chat to Tristan quickly. Tristan, are those tracks on top of tracks from this morning? Otherwise, they're from about 2 days ago, I think. So we're just trying to figure out where Thandi and Cub were. Yeah, me. Oh, exciting. Oh, very exciting. So Tandy and Cub tracks seem like they've come back from Torchwood on top of my tracks from this morning. So I drove there this morning, so that's very exciting news. Very exciting news indeed. Tandy and Cub have come back to Djuma. So there we go. Now, Okamori, unfortunately, went on to Hoffman's this morning. He walked almost the whole northwestern sections of Djuma and southwestern sections of Djuma overnight. As it got a bit cooler, I thought I'd just have a quick look around Impala Road to make sure that Shadulu's tracks don't pop out. Otherwise, I'm quite sure she's in here somewhere. So if they don't pop out, I think I might go back to the last tracks and have a little stroll, see if she pops out. And other than that, if we have no luck here, I'm going to head for the waterholes, see if we can find some elephants having a good old splish splash. But in the meantime, let's go back to Taylor with the wallowing warthog.
He is such a cool warthog. For all the new viewers, I'm so excited that you all get to know him and that he is back again. He is a lovely old fella. I reckon he must be close to the end of his lifespan now. I mean, we've been seeing him for a long time. I actually wonder if you had to go back a couple of years on Safari Life, I reckon you'd have a lot of footage of him. Because he's quite easy to identify, just purely because this is his watering hole. This is his wallow. It's his favourite. But you can see he's enjoying lunch at the moment in the form of the grass seeds. Loving the grass seeds at the moment. And his burrow is not too far from here. I reckon if we had to drive onto the firebreak, onto the sneaky road, where Gwen used to have a den and used to keep her cub, we would find fresh tracks of a warthog. And I'm pretty sure he'll be in there. So he's just missing the tuft of hair on his tail. And you can see his tusks are quite worn as well. But he's a funny fellow. I'll never forget, Seb and I had the most amazing sighting where we came down Gowrie Main. We got to this pan and he was having a fight with another warthog. And I'd never seen warthogs fighting before. And he basically chased this intruder away. And then was so excited that him and his girls all came racing to the pan, and he literally dived face first in. I think we got it live, Seb. We did, hey? Yeah. Some of you may remember that. He actually nose-dived into the water. It was so cool, and I would love it if some of you that can remember that sighting that were watching it live could please share some of those screenshots, because I know you all shared quite a few of them. So hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. It would be really, really cool, so that everybody knows who we're talking about. He's so relaxed. You won't find another relaxed warthog like this. Now, Gemma Max, you're wondering if the temperature of these mud wallows gets quite hot during the day. I am going to say yes, exceptionally warm, in fact. And I wouldn't be brave enough to put my hand in this water because I can't imagine the type of bacteria and things that are floating around here. What we're going to do is we're going to get a better view. So we're going to, because he is quite relaxed. Let's go the other side. Let's see if he'll be quite cool with us. So it's sitting in the sun. We haven't had any rain to sort of top the water levels up. So the water's getting less and less. And I don't think it would be too pleasant, in fact. I think it would be quite unpleasant. He doesn't really mind the cars too much. I don't think he's ever run away from a vehicle before. Well, not since I'm gonna go right. Watch, he's gonna go right back to the other side. See, that's, yep. Here he is. Oh, this is nice. Hey, big boy. And he doesn't have to go anywhere. I mean, he's really clever. Oh, did you hear that? Might be some elephants on Torchwood. There was an interesting sound. Perhaps they're coming down this way to go swimming. Maybe they'll join us here with a warthog, or perhaps they'll go down towards Chitwa Dam. Who knows? Now, he's obviously covered in mud, he's covered in water, and he's surrounded by grass as he has lunch. And Paulie, you were wondering, why do they cover themselves in mud? Well, it's not actually just the warthogs that do it. There's quite a few different animal species that will wallow around in mud. Buffalo are big culprits too, so are rhinos. Black and white rhinos love to have a wallow during the day. And then elephants typically spray it around on themselves, or if your name is Daryl and you weigh 5 tons, you will roll around in the smallest amount of mud you can find. And most of you actually watched that on the dam cam after a sunrise safari one day. And the reason why they do that, it's important. It helps keep them cool, firstly, on hot days like today. But as we know, a lot of these animals are plagued with parasites. And I was saying this morning, and we say it often, how important it is, though. It's an indicator if animals have got ticks on them. It means that they're fairly healthy, so a certain amount of ticks is normal. They say the average amount of ticks on an impala should be about 5,000. Can you imagine having 5,000 ticks crawling over your body? I don't know what that statistic is for warthogs, however, but that mud will also help suffocate some of those parasites that are living on them too. And then they normally have a good old scratch on a trunk of a tree or anything they can find, really, and then they can dislodge them that way. Hello, old man. You can see him, he's really retired now. All that saggy skin. Now, young Willow, who's only 3 years old, you're wondering what happened to this pig's tail. Well, Willow, I'm not really sure what happened to him, but maybe he got into a fight with another warthog. That could have happened. Perhaps it was a leopard that tried to catch him, and he lost the tip of his tail, but he survived. Or the same thing goes for maybe a lion tried to do that. So there's lots of different things that could have happened to him, but we'll never know. Promise you, Willow, that'll be the first thing I ask this warthog the day that I can speak Warthoganese really well, as I'll ask him firstly what his name is, and how much fun did he have chasing Gwen, who's the hyena, out of her den, and then also, of course, what happened to his tail. It's like he wants to answer me. But he's quite funny to watch. Now, we really need to appreciate sightings like this, because they normally just run away from us. Smith Luca, I think I heard the question correctly. What is preferable when washing in the bush? Soap or no soap? Well, it depends what you've got on you. I suppose the animals don't really use any soap or any detergents to keep themselves nice and clean. They don't mind that at all. They prefer the natural smell. However, you and I, you can use whatever you like, really. It doesn't matter at all. There are some plants out here that, in fact, are like normal, like soap. For instance, the devil's thorn. It's growing all over the open plains behind our camp. We might even see some here. If I do see some, I'll show it to you. That you can make a soap from. And even a plant called squill. You can take the leaves and you can actually tear it up and add a little bit of water and make a type of soap from that too. So there's a couple of different plants out here. I'm sure there's some more. I've probably just forgotten the others. There we go. Watch him now. Look how he's using his snout. Oh, that's a good spot. Looked like he was trying to loosen the mud. Oh, so comfortable. The coolest warthog in the Sabi sand, in my opinion. And I'm so glad I got to see him again, because I thought that he would have either been eaten by something or perhaps just passed on from old age. But he hasn't. He's still with us. Very cool. Off we go back across to Tristan and to see if he's still catching some more rains and working on his tan.
Well, no, not really catching any rain at the moment, but we're hopefully going to try and catch up with a leopard at some point. Sorry, I was trying to get myself all sorted out. There's all cables again. Forgotten what it's like to be plugged into a system. But we've come to Buffelshoek Dam. We did a loop round just to see if those tracks came out, and so far no tracks that we could see coming out into the cut line or coming sort of towards the fire break and then back towards Buffelshoek Dam area. So I think if she does have a kill, it must be fairly close to where Gwari Pan is, and so we'll just kind of scratch around there. But there is our ever-present hippos that are here. There's 2 of them today. Kind of goes in a bit of fluctuation at Buffelshoek Dam. Some days there's just the one. Others you'll get lucky enough and find 4 of them here. So it just kind of depends how it goes. And I'd imagine as things start drying up again, so we'll start to see some more hippos start making their way into towards Buffelshoek, because it's one of the dams that's really held water probably better than most of the others, and it's got a lot more water given that it's got these 2 inflows. But it's always interesting watching the dynamic of the hippos at Buffelshoek Dam. It doesn't seem like there is a dominant individual that kind of sticks around here. There seems to be a lot of fluctuation and movement between all of them, and you find one comes in and then it's out again and then back in, and kind of just always moving about and never really settled here. And I wonder if it's because we just don't have any female hippos in this particular section. But otherwise, Buffelshoek Dam is fairly quiet. There's very few birds around. I would have thought maybe there would be the odd heron maybe, or something like a comb duck or white-faced whistling ducks. They should still be around at this time of the year. And so I thought maybe we'd find some of them. But it seems as though it was all very quiet. Now, I believe that this morning Fang was actually seen here, which is very cool news, because I haven't seen Fang since May of last year, which is a long, long time ago, when she had that epic kind of encounter with her and she was all around the car. So I was hoping that she'd still be somewhere in this general vicinity. I saw the trucks, they're kind of going in a southerly direction, so we'll go along Hippo Pools Road because I want to check there anyway for any sign of Tundi. But it'd be really good to catch up with her, and I believe she had an epic morning swimming around here and going crazy, and so hopefully she'll come back this afternoon. It seems as though Buffelshoek Dam, though, is a bit of one of those dams that I struggle with a little bit in terms of actually finding too many animals. It seems as though it's a kind of a dam that Brent has a lot of luck at, and Taylor, but very seldom do I see very much here. So, Patricia, you're asking what's the weather like at the moment, and you are apparently heading up towards the Kruger on Saturday and in this coming week, which is very, very cool. Well, the weather at the moment is warm. It's actually very pleasant. Just before I left, it was quite hot and there was a lot of rain around, but it is warm, but not too warm, and there doesn't seem to be too much rain about either. There's a few clouds kind of floating about, but nothing in the sort of way of big storm clouds, and so it's actually very, very pleasant at the moment. I'm not sure where you're actually going, Patricia, but I know that in some parts of Kruger, they've received a lot of rain. So up in the Shingwetsi area, which is north of us, they got a huge storm this weekend, and the Shingwetsi River was flooding and kind of going down. It didn't flood into the camp, but it did kind of go over that low water bridge and was causing a bit of kind of havoc there. But the northern sections of north of that in Punda is quite dry, and then around this area, as far as I understand it, not too much rain has fallen, and perfect kind of conditions. It's not too hot. That sort of summer in very, very hot weather hasn't really been around over the last couple of days, from what I understand, and it seems to be very, very pleasant weather. So you should have all good prospects for you to come out and have a wonderful time, and I hope that you're going to see lots of interesting things. The Kruger seems to be very busy at the moment, particularly the southern areas. I've seen lots of updates of all kinds of crazy interactions, from wild dogs chasing civets to leopards with little baby porcupine kills, which is quite something. In fact, I actually got that photo, and I was trying to find it somewhere here, and I can actually show you guys. It's a bit on the macabre side, because I suppose you don't really want to see a dead porcupine, little baby porcupine, but it's just quite amazing to actually see it. So there we go. I don't know which way is actually better, because it's got a funny crop on it, but anyway. But there we go, there's a leopard with a little baby porcupine that it must have caught, and this was somewhere near Skukuza, which is south of us, near the Sabi River. But how's that for a crazy sighting? So that leopard must have found that little porcupine. The porcupines will den in the little pipes underneath the road, and the leopards go in there, and then they can find these little babies and pull them out, which is not so nice if you're a baby porcupine. But I suppose if you're a leopard, it's like going for a little takeaway drive-through. You just kind of walk down the road, and there's a hole, and you just grab whatever's inside. Right, David, let's turn around and go and pay some attention to these Tundi and cub tracks now that we've checked about this side of the world. So, Paula, you're asking what Buffelshoek means. So, a buffel in Afrikaans, because it's an Afrikaans word, means a buffalo. So if you're talking about buffels, you're talking about buffalo. And a hook is a corner, so it's Buffalo Corner is what it's called. And I believe that was an apt name for this area, because there was this morning? Yes, buffalo here this morning. So buffalo in the corner of Djuma, therefore Buffelshoek is its name, and that's what it basically translates to. Whether or not that's how it got its name is because there was a whole bunch of buffalo in this corner, or a high percentage of buffalo in this corner, I'm not quite sure, but directly translated, that's what it means, Buffalo Corner. Good. Now, let's see. I'm just trying to think which way Tundi would go. I'm going to take Hippo Pools Road, just quickly check it. Maybe who I think before. Hopefully he'll find some luck.
welcome back. Sorry about that. It seems like Tristan's found some gremlins. I'm just checking again very, very carefully. There they are. Where Shidulu's last tracks disappeared off. So it is right here where she left the road and went in. And I've circled the block a few times, and I think she's still almost certainly inside. You see the track there, Craig? Where's the clear? What's the best one? Oof, they're quite difficult. Okay, you see there's that stick there. Right at the head of that stick, there's a track there. So and that is Shidulu, the female leopard track. Unfortunately, there's not, the light's a bit flat at the moment, which is making it a bit difficult. So I'm convinced she's still in here, but it's quite a thick block, quite a big block, but she's almost certainly going to get moving as it gets cooler. So I think in the meantime, let's go check the water holes. Unless I see her sitting on top of a termite mound, which I don't. Okay. Off we go. So I think maybe we head down towards Treehouse, then Twin Dams. Is everyone going back home for the afternoon, for the evening? Smile, Mamazi! Hi, Jim. There we go. It's Mamazi and everyone. Hello. Hey! Everyone's off home for the evening. Dale says, can we assume Shidulu is pregnant now that she's no longer an estrus? No, we cannot. Quite often females, and particularly the younger females, will not become pregnant as soon as after they're mating. So only time will tell to see if she comes back into estrus again, or as she starts showing signs of pregnancy. Oof. It's quite nice. We've got a bit of cloud cover, definitely keeping it a bit cooler. Sinak is wondering, how do I know it's her track? Well, the tracks come from where she had a kill the day before. So that's how we know it is her track. So she was seen on a kill, and those tracks come straight from where she was out into the road. Now, historically, you would have probably found shadow in that area. And as I say, because of Hukumuri, shadow's pushed way down south towards the Mala Mala and Londolozi boundaries, and is spending time in an incredibly thick, difficult area with very little roads. So the last time she was seen was more than a week ago, 10 days plus ago. And not Barbara hasn't been seen for about 2 weeks. But that's not uncommon, especially in that area, which is a really thick, difficult area. Now, which route to Treehouse? I know. Hi, Al. Al is asking, is it true that the Sabi Sands is not open to public safaris? Is in safaris that you can drive yourself around? No, it is not open. You have to stay at one of the lodges in the Sabi Sands. Unlike Kruger, so it is not open to public safaris. You cannot drive yourself around the Sabi Sands, but you are more than welcome to come stay at one of the wonderful lodges in the Sabi Sands, and you will have a guide who will take you on your safari. So the Sabi Sands is made up of private land that is owned by different individuals, and it is open to Kruger. It forms part of the greater Kruger, but it is not public land. So that's why you cannot take yourself on safari in the Sabi Sands. Okay. Where are all the elephants today? There were so many around this morning. Well, apparently you're going to go across to Taylor, and a very worrying thing, because no one's quite sure what she's doing.
No, no one knows what I'm doing is because I'm scrolling on my mobile device trying to find a picture of Wilbur when he was in his burrow. But I can't find it. I'll have to try keep looking for it. I did post it on Twitter. And I think Debbie from Vancouver posted a picture of the warthog. Also, I've just given him a name. He will now be referred to as Wilbur, named after my dad's favourite author, Wilbur Smith. So we'll just keep it at that. I think Wilbur's a nice name, nice strong name for a warthog. And because he's older, because, I mean, you don't hear anybody who's called Wilbur these days. But yeah, we've had some amazing sightings with him, some really, really good ones. He's quite a funny character. He's always up here, so if you just come looking for him, you normally find him. We raced off from Wilbur because we heard a francolin that was alarming, and I was hoping to find it perched up in a tree, but it wasn't. It was down on the ground, and sort of cowering under a shrub, so I suspect that it was perhaps a raptor that flew ahead that scared it, not a leopard. So no luck there. We're going to eventually make our way down towards the dam, towards Chitwa Dam. We'll just check a couple of roads first. I'm also trying to see if I can spot any elephants to sort of catch them as they go down. But nothing just yet. I'm sure at some point. Now, speaking of Wilbur, Bumper, you were wondering if a cat would try and attack that warthog that size. If you're talking about a domestic cat, probably not. Wilbur would kill it very, very easily. But a lion and a leopard, and even a cheetah, would be brave, though, for a cheetah to go after a big warthog like that, because they're exceptionally powerful creatures. But a leopard and a lion, yes, most certainly. And Brent had the experience where a hyena tried to bite off a bit of bacon off one the other afternoon. So that can happen too. But I feel like Wilbur has fended off many predators in his life. And I reckon that's probably why he's missing a bit of his tail. I'm sure he's got loads of stories to tell. If only he could talk and we could sit around a fire with him. Not him on the fire, please. I don't want to eat Wilbur. I just meant to have a chat. Just in case anybody starts telling me how I want to eat this poor warthog. I don't want to eat him, I promise. But we've got a nice collection of animals over here at the moment. We've got impala, we've got some inyala. Tammy, I think you're right. You said, wasn't Wilbur the name for the warthog in Charlotte's Web? I can't remember there being a warthog in Charlotte's Web because I haven't watched that movie for maybe 15 years. Yes. Louise popped it into Google because, you know, Google knows everything and agrees. So there we go. So it's obviously a really good name. So this shall be the South African Wilbur. But here we have impala. Can you hear them all talking? There's the female to the right that's actually making all the sounds. There she goes, the one that's just walked.
This one?
Yeah. Well, she's not doing it now, but she was responding. Oh, get off, Foxpecker. Amazing how flexible those necks are. I don't know why they're chatting so much. I mean, normally they're quite small. Do you know why? It's because she's calling her little one. Here it comes. Well, it's not really a young lamb anymore. So obviously got distracted and was out playing with its friends, and Mom has said, come on home now. There we go. Going over to say hello. Yes, chase the bird off of Mom. That's what she's been after the whole afternoon. No, you're getting too old to suckle now. She's not having any of that. She's saying, right, you can come here, but you don't get a reward for suckling. Goodness, if you head-butted me like that, I also would want to kick you. And of course, they are getting to that point now where they're going to be weaned. It's normally around 6-7 months old, maybe even a little bit less than that. I would have loved to have seen the young impala lambs. Always so funny to see them as they hang around on quarantine, them and the wildebeest. It was one of my favourite times of the years. Oh goodness, the other ewes also being attacked now. Careful, little ones. So that's what all the commotion was about. That's why there was so much ruckus going on. Because I was going to say, typically, impala and a lot of the antelope species don't want to be making too much noise. They don't want to be giving their presence away to leopards and lions in the area. They normally stay as quiet as they can. There's a big ram passing through, very proud of his herd. Sure, he's going to have lots of competition soon. There's another boy. There's actually quite a few of them. There's quite a few big rams in the area. Perhaps they are honing in on his females. Ashley, I think you may be talking about the Impala ewe that was swinging her head around. You said that that looked slightly uncomfortable and that she might have a bit of whiplash. Right? You would think if you and I did that, we'd definitely get whiplash, but these animals are so tough. I mean, I've watched an Impala run into a termite mound before, actually on the near the airstrip of Chitwa, and it sort of banged its head quite hard and then got up and carried on going. So they're pretty resilient creatures, even if they do knock their head. Oh, there's a young ram. Look at his little horns starting to grow. Ooh. Now, we did see an Inyala. He's hiding behind the bushes at the moment. And Dale, you're wondering if he is all alone. He's there. He's just moving off to the right now. I'm sure there's some more here. It's not uncommon to see Impala and Inyala interacting with one another. Inyala predominantly being browsers and Impala being mixed feeders. They will hang around together. And remember, animals are fairly social because it means safety in numbers. They've all got better senses than one another. Impala have got incredible eyesight. Inyala's sense of smell and hearing is also fairly good. So if they work as a team, if there are any leopards, and we know that this drainage line is a hotspot for leopards, they'll be able to alert one another. So it's a good idea that they do stick around, and I'm sure that there are some Inyalas maybe just further down into the drainage line. That could definitely be a possibility. But I think what we're going to do now is we're going to go on a patrol for elephants like Brent, because it is hot, and I would like to see some elephants swimming, because that is, I think, my all-time favorite thing to see, in fact. Elephants swimming around, and it sounds like the chats, well, I'm sure Tristan would like to see it too, coming back to work. Ha! Whose footprints are on the ground here? They look like they're from this morning's. This morning, lion tracks. I don't know which lions were passing through the property, but they're very, very old. Hello, excuse me, coming through. Got an Impala roadblock at the moment. Well, actually, I think this is where the young lambs were playing. There seems like there's quite a few of them. Come on, off you go. Oh my goodness. Look what the elephants have done. Wow, they've really stripped this tree. The elephants have done some serious damage there, as you can see, stripping the bark. And it doesn't look like those are boring beetles. I think that's actually from the tusks of the elephants, those sort of scrape marks. They're quite hectic. Now, Sinek, you're asking about the Impala and for how much longer will they suckle for? Well, the adults, you can see the females are getting less and less tolerant. So I don't think it will be for very much longer. Maybe only in a couple more weeks, in fact. I don't know when most of the Impala were born. Seb, you would have been here. Was it December or was it December? Mm-hmm. December, January, February, March, April, May. No, a lie. So maybe like 2 more months or so? I must be getting there close. I forgot for a minute when the Impala were born here. It was where we saw them, some Impala when they were in September were being born in the Mara, and then some more a little bit later. And another question, whew, banging them out today. Nedra, you're wondering about how many times a year do Impala give birth? Is it only once? Yes, you're quite correct. They only give birth once a year. But it was interesting in the Mara because I saw 3 different times there were young Impala around, like little lambs. Obviously, you always get some that give birth a little bit earlier, and then you'll have the bulk of them, like in South Africa, being born in December, and then some late ones. But we were seeing young Impala from September. Basically, I arrived at the end of August, and then I saw some more in December, and then I'm pretty sure in January we saw 1 or 2 little lambs, but I think that might have just been a little bit unusual. Off they go. Look at them bouncing around. Come on, catch up. Not wanting to get left behind in the Mulwanini. I don't blame them again. Soft sand there. Leopards will sneak on that. That's for sure. See, like that's quite a little one there, in fact. Ah, well done, Seb. Telepathy. That's much younger than the others. So that was obviously born a little bit later. I mean, that only looks to be a month old, perhaps. And the others are at least, 3-4 months old already. Very cool. Off you go. Very nice to see them, though. Ah, you know what, Seb? We're going to show everybody one more thing, because I see another Inyala. Let's put Dale's mind at ease. Can you see it there? We'll show you very quickly. So there are more Nyala around Dale. They're just hiding amongst all the thickets at the moment. So while we navigate around and try and listen out for some elephants that are breaking branches or perhaps splashing in the water, I'm going to send you across to Brent, who's basically listening out for the same thing.
Yes, and so far no luck, but we're about to arrive at a little pan system at the moment, so quite exciting. It is the pan where Hokomuri caught that kudu, 2 days ago now? No, yesterday. It was yesterday. Oh, that we found him here. Now, I thought it was apt. I did promise that I was going to take the tail of that kudu and create some flies for fishing with it. So while we're here, let's just make sure there's no elephants at the water first. Well, no elephants, unfortunately. Peter Viper saying, is it fair to say that Hokomuri has now established himself on Djuma? I would say most definitely yes. I mean, he's scent marking and he is calling. So we have 3 different options that are from Hokomuri. Unfortunately, not completely finished yet because I'm still waiting for doll's eyes that I've ordered. Yes, so there we go. There's a Hokomuri mylar fish almost. So it's just waiting for some big doll's eyes that I'll epoxy on the side. So all this fur, this here, the white and the black and orange are all from that kudu tail I picked up. And there we go. So nice big fly, good for giant trevally, all the trevally species, barracuda, any of those. Okay, so that's the first of, now you've got to choose which one becomes the Hokomuri fly. The other is quite a simple fly, but it's a very, very effective fly. It's called a Klauser minnow. And again, I'm just waiting for the eyes to go on the dumbbells. And all the fur is from that kudu. And a little crystal flash and some copper wire. Yes, this is called a Klauser minnow. Nicola Austin was wondering. A Klauser minnow. Very good for tigerfish and all sorts of other saltwater fish. And then the third is a modification on a Klauser that I've had much luck with on lots of different species. So basically it's a Klauser, except I added a bunch of tinsel on top. And very effective for all sorts. And all the fur in here is from the kudu. So you guys get to choose. I'm going to pop them down. Which one should be named the Hokomuri? There we go. So we've got the standard Klauser with copper. The mylar. Now you've got to remember, you've got to imagine this one's got big doll's eyes on either side, and and I've still got to finish the epoxy head. So that's that one. And then my modified Klauser. This is actually one of my favorite flies for tigerfish, but it works really, really well for lots of different things. So there we go. Dale thinks it's the first one. Well, and Ladybird. Well, I think I'll let you guys vote. Well, let's see who says which one should be which. But there we go. So those are all 3 sort of saltwater or predatory game fish flies. Okay, let's pop them back in my box. The Jersey lady says, "Wow, Brent, gorgeous, so talented. Thank you very much." Well, the main reason is, it's quite fun to make flies as well, and I find it quite sort of calming. So today I did some research, some reading, then I tied 3 flies, and then did some more research and reading. So it's quite a nice sort of thing, especially when you're reading some quite heavy scientific documents on certain areas. I quite like to. I keep my fly tying kit at my desk, whack a little fly quickly, take my mind off everything before having to go back to it. Now, yeah, so it's always quite fun when you catch something on a fly you've made. Well, it seems like everyone's voting for the first fly. 13 rainbows. 13 rainbows is definitely the first one. It stands out the most, but also like the second one. Oh, elephant tracks heading towards treehouse. Maybe we'll get some luck. Okay. I didn't quite get that next. Can you go again? Oh, very clever, Tristan. So Tristan has spelled it the hookomuri fly, but H-O-O-K because of the hooks. Very clever. Very clever. Well played, Tristan. Okay, so there are some elephant tracks now heading down towards the treehouse waterhole, but I'm not seeing any ellies from here. Oh, guinea fowls! Look at that. Now there is another bird whose feathers I use quite regularly, so you don't only use in kudu tails when you find them in the bush, but you can use guinea fowl feathers and all sorts of other stuff. Seenak says, are you a good fisherman? What's your biggest catch? Well, it all depends on what you're fishing for, Seenak. My biggest freshwater fish is a sharp-toothed catfish of around 35 kilograms, which is, I can't work it out in pounds, well, 35 kilograms, which is big, nearly as tall as me. I'm trying to think of my biggest saltwater. I've got some decent saltwaters. Got tarpon over 50 kilos before. Cabera snapper, 53 kilo Cabera snapper. That was a monster. Which that's well over 100 pounds. And I'm just trying to think. My biggest tiger fish is around 11 kilos, which is very big. Biggest trout, 10 pounds, just over 10 pounds. I've been fishing for a long time. Taylor says I must ask Craig whether I'm good at fishing. Craig is going to laugh because when I didn't catch any fish on our trip to Uganda. I did, yes, I did. Thank you. Thank you, Craig. I did. I caught the Nile tilapia. But I was really hoping for a big Nile perch. But unfortunately, we went out for a full day in Lake Victoria fishing, and the only thing I managed to catch was nets. So unfortunately, Lake Victoria has been very much overfished, but very interesting. So the Nile perch are actually not indigenous to Lake Victoria at all. They were introduced. They actually used to occur below. I'm trying to remember the name of the waterfall. That is just below, well, at where the source of the Nile. And unfortunately, it's been overfished. But the Nile perch did a huge amount of damage to Lake Victoria's indigenous cichlid species, wiping out about 40% of them. So, and then the Nile perch have now been overfished to the point where there's very few perch being caught over 5 or 6 kilograms, which is tiny, and the area we're in. And it's actually quite a big problem. There are massive fisheries and canning plants on the banks of Lake Victoria that are just going bust. And it's quite funny because Lake Victoria is on Tanzania, Kenya and Uganda, and they all blame each other for the overfishing. So the Kenyans blame the Ugandans, the Ugandan blames the Tanzanians, and vice versa. But yeah, so the fish stocks have plummeted on Lake Victoria, but I was on Lake Victoria and I was going to give it a go, but unfortunately no luck. Okay. Well, I'm going to head off towards Twin Dam, see if there's any elephants around there. While we do that, let's go back to Tristan, who's also a fisherman.
Well, I am indeed, Brent. I do enjoy doing a little bit of fishing here and there. I don't know if I'm quite as besotted about it as Brent is, although I suppose if you give me a fly rod, then I'm always quite happy with it. It was the longest excuse I've ever in my life of why he didn't catch any fish on the Nile, because that went on for a good 5 minutes as to why there's no fish in the Nile. But maybe we'll just have to go and show Brent what was going on up that side of things. But I was sitting here waiting for you guys to come across to me, and then the excuse started, and I thought drive was going to be finished before we actually heard the end of that excuse. But anyway, we'll carry on with what's going on. Now, I've been off my vehicle looking around for Tanyan cub. There's so many tracks in this area. It looks like tracks from maybe a few days ago, 2-3 days ago, as well as these ones going back up and forth. So I'm convinced that she's got a kill here somewhere, but I'm just trying to find it. The grass where she went in is probably close to waist high, and so unless we walk right on top of her or drive right on top of her, we're going to struggle to actually see her. So what I'm trying to do is just do a loop around and check all of the big trees and just try and see if I can find any sign of a carcass up in a tree. Even if Tandy's not in the tree, maybe there's a carcass that's just being hung on a branch. And I would imagine by now, if she's been in this area for a good 2 days, that there might not be too much left of it. So I'm just hoping that we'll see like a little leg dangling or something like that, and that it'll allow us to actually see where she is, because otherwise we're going to have a tough sort of time of it to actually find exactly the point that she's at, because I walked in there and I promise you can't see anything whatsoever when you walk around. It's just, if she sits flat, there's going to be no chance. So, Noel, you're asking, is Hukumuri or Shadulu better for genetic diversity? Well, Hukumuri, given that he has come from so far away, is completely different genes to any of the females in this area. Not to say that Shadulu isn't either. So I suppose both of them are equally good for this area in terms of a genetic diversity, because Hukumuri is going to bring, well, male and female genes that we don't have in this section. I highly doubt either his mom or his father were in any way related to the leopards that we're seeing here now. It's possible, I suppose, but I don't think so. And so he's really bringing a completely different mix into the area, whereas, you know, Shadulu, her father is kind of produced other offspring in this area, and so he's a little bit more closely related. But the thing with Shadulu is that she's a different lineage to what Karula Tandi Shadow is, and so therefore she's going to be bringing, you know, a whole number of cubs, hopefully, as the years go on. And so she's going to populate this area probably a lot more than what Hukumuri is going to do. You know, Hukumuri might have 3-4 cubs in his time as a dominant male, whereas Shadulu, if she's anywhere successful as somebody like Karula, could have, you know, 10, 11, 12 cubs that might survive and then populate this area. So difficult to say which one's going to be better for genetic diversity, but they both are good. They're both individuals that are not directly related to the other leopards that we see in this area, and not directly related to Hosana or Tamba or, you know, like I say, some of the females that are also mating. Now, I don't see any sign of carcasses up in a tree. It's pretty typical of Tandi. She's often like this, and you'll find she kind of likes to hide carcasses more under bushes than up in trees. And we often find her actually taking things out of a tree in the morning and under a bush for the day, feeding on it, and then at night putting it back again. So I'm just hoping we catch it lucky by doing some loops around here, that maybe, just maybe, she's going to pop up into a tree somewhere, or we'll just see some sign of a carcass, or even the little cub itself. That would be quite cool to see the little cub up there feeding on a carcass. So that's what I'm hoping for, and it's just going to be a perseverance game up in this northern corner. So, Scott, you say you saw the little cub feeding for the first time the other day. That's really cool. So I'm glad Scotty D got to see that. I haven't seen that little one feed at all, actually. I've seen carcasses being taken to it, and the little one just turns its nose up and kind of does its own thing and sniffs it and carries on. But it seems as though she's now feeding off meat. And Nikki tells me that she was dragging around the head of a nyala, which is all very big and brave. And so it's really cool to hear that she's developing and growing up. I'm so kind of looking forward to seeing her, because I haven't seen her for quite some time now. I'd imagine she's much bigger than the last time I saw, which was for the TV shows, which was, when was that? That was in January. And so it was in January is the last time I saw her, which is a long time. Beginning of Feb, that's right. Everyone wishes, it depends on the individual and depends on how mom teaches them. But you'll find a situation where most little leopard cubs are climbing at sort of 3 months old. Sometimes you'll find ones that are a little bit more kind of brazen and can climb a little earlier. I remember Salesh, when she had Tiani was able to climb already at about 2 months, just over 2 months old. It was starting to venture into trees and move around. And we know with Tandi's little one that already it was kind of, when we first started to see it, it was quite curious and jumping up on fallen over logs. But actually climbing and getting itself up into a tree and being able to sit up in the tree is normally at about 3 months old, is when you find most leopard cubs doing it. Like I say, there's obviously outliers, some are better than others, but it's really important that they learn how to do it, because early on they're at the most danger from things like hyenas and lions and even other leopards. And so if they can climb early on and they can get themselves up into places where those animals can't get to them, their chances of survival increase very, very quickly. And so it's important that they learn. And I've seen a number of mothers or female leopards that have taught their cubs how to do that. And so what they'll do is before the cub can really climb, they'll go climb up into a tree quite high up, and then they sit and they call and they call and they call and they call. And the cub is so used to mom calling for food and for, to get the cub out, that the cub then tries to attempt to follow mom, and it will often then go up into the tree. And sometimes they lose their nerve and they don't go all the way up, but mom will keep calling. And I had a sighting of Salesh in particular where she would go to the top of this wattle, call up there, and then as Tiani would get up into the tree, she would jump back down again, and then Tiani would have to kind of make her way down, then Salesh would go back up. And she did this maybe for about 2-3 hours, just going back and back, round and round and round, until eventually they both got quite tired, and then mom went and lay down and everything was okay. But it just goes to show how they do teach their little ones that it's important that they know how to climb and get up and down safely, so that they can get out of the way of predators. And I'm sure that's why she was doing it more than anything else. Also, they need to learn how to do that because they're going to have to be able to get to food at some point. And so as soon as you start seeing them being taken, food taken up, the little ones have ultimately got to get up there and get food as well. So it's a very cool thing to see and to witness, and hopefully we'll get to see it maybe with Kuchava and her cubs, or you never know, maybe Shadulu has cubs soon and we get to see it with them as well. I think Tandi's little one is probably a bit old for that now, so we won't see too much of that just yet. Right, now I'm going to carry on in this area. Like I said, I'm going to try and hope that we can find little Tandi and cub. And while we do that, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's doing, well, very much what I am, and is just driving, hoping for something to pop out.
I'm looking for the elephants, and I don't know why I can't seem to find them today. I actually bumped into Sheldon, who, as you know, is the man with the biggest beard in the northern Sabi sand. And he said that he's been waiting for the elephants to come down to Chitwa Dam all day long. He says not one elephant has come down to the dam, which I find so unusual, especially on such a hot day, when we had swimming elephants this morning. So I'm hoping that at least they come out for the school drives joining us in a little while, in about 20 minutes or so, just in case you are taken by surprise. So that'll be quite nice. So it would be very nice if we could, of course, show all the kids, the animals having fun. Oh, hang on. Let's have a look here. There's a Waterhole. No, Waterhole, come back. The Waterhole is flying away, out of sight. The Waterhole is an African hoopoe, by the way, or just it's a hoopoe. The African Waterhole. So we're bumbling, and there's not much else at the moment. I feel like we're going to have to go back to those impala. Oh, what was that? Joanna, you're wondering how soon will a female leopard come back into estrus if well, I suppose if she's not successful, or if she loses a cub. I think I heard something along those lines. We'll answer both. Normally it's a couple of weeks, 3 to 4 weeks or so, before they come back into estrus again. So it's not particularly long. In fact, it happens quite quickly. I'm just checking all these marula trees because there's some stunning ones out here, and I cannot believe there's no leopards sitting in them this afternoon, especially with all the heat. It'll be a perfect spot. So I'm just having a proper look. Also some really nice jackalberries. Now, here's a question that depends on many variables in the bush, and it's from K6, and it's when will hosanas start mating in the bush? Didn't Tristan just answer this, or was I going crazy? No, maybe he answered something else about hosana. Anyways, I thought I heard that. I must be making all sorts of things up today. So, normally it would be, I don't know, I suppose 4 or 5 years old, somewhere around there, because if they're bigger leopards in the area, he's not really going to stand a chance and take over their territory and take over his females. But there's a weird change up at the moment. I mean, even if we look at quarantine seemed to have started mating quite early. I think, wasn't it from about 3.5, 4 years old or so? So I suppose if there's no other big males in the area, they could start mating as young as 2.5, 3 years old. That could definitely happen. But I doubt that that's going to be the situation here, because we've still got Tingana in the area. Djuma pokes his head in every now and then of course Hukumuri is definitely staking a claim on Tingana's old turf. So I don't think there'll be any chance of hosana mating at such a young age. But it can happen sometimes. I mean, it's the same thing with elephant bulls when they come into mast or start mating with the females. It depends on how many other bigger, stronger bulls are in the area to catch them out and put them back into place. And the same thing goes for male lions. Maybe they find a pride of females that then there just hasn't seemed to be a coalition of males around, and they can go on in there. There's nothing stopping them, that's for sure. Let's have a quick squiz here as well. It's all of a sudden got quite overcast. There's lots of cirrus clouds in the sky, which is quite nice. Beautiful, in fact. Nice and cool. Maybe you said you want to just see Sheldon's beard. That's all you can think about. I actually put him on camera the other day. He loved it. He said thank you for the shout out. There we go. So thank you everybody for complimenting him on his beard. I did tell big stories. I said that he'd been growing it since he was the age of 6, and I can't remember what other rubbish I started saying. But it's quite spectacular. He's got little twirly bits here. Maybe someone took a screenshot from the last time and from a couple of afternoons ago and share it, because it's quite cool. It's a very impressive beard, to say the least. Right, I think we're going to go down this way. Let's see if we can do it in one turn. Yes, I think we will. I don't think I'll have to do any reversing. Whee! Just because there was no logs over there. So we're slowly making our way down to the dam. I'm waiting for the elephants, and it's actually quite cool because you can almost see to the other side. We'll see if I can find open clearing, try and spot them. It'd be really nice if we could see them and then race the elephants there. No, it's a bit thick now. There's some tiny little gaps every now and then you can see up to the clearing. In winter you can see straight through. It's amazing. Where are the birds? Let's see if we can find any birds also just having a rest on a tree. Now, Cat Muzzle, I think that was your name. You said that you hope that I find a cheeky baby elephant. I would love it if I could find a cheeky baby elephant. That would really make my day. Actually, just being out on safari is quite nice. No, that's not a bird in the tree. That was just a strange part of the branch. And that would be quite fantastic. I feel like the elephants have been hiding away from me for the last few days. No, it doesn't look like there's anyone coming down yet. But we did hear some rumblings at Torchwood, so we might even go back, and even if we can get them crossing Gowrie Main, that's fine. As long as we had to have a quick squiz at an elephant, that would be nice. Ooh, everybody wants to meet Dylan's brother. No, Brent's brother Dylan. And Stacey Barr in particular, you're wanting to have a look at Dylan. We'll see if we can find him. My Game Drive radio doesn't seem to be working very well today. It might be cloud cover, could be a number of different things that are causing it. But we'll see if we can find him. And then we'll make him blush. Shall we make Dylan blush on camera as well? Hey, Seb? Don't you think it'll be funny? There is a bird. I know what I have to say to make him blush. It's going to be so funny, but we won't tell Dylan that. It's obviously going to be a surprise. Obviously, there's a little birdie, a little hornbill in the tree. Thank you. I've been looking. No, and of course it's flying away. Oh, typical. Birds, hey? Let me tell you. We'll try and find out where he is. I might have to try and get hold of Sheldon and see if Dylan is out on safari. I don't know if he is out on safari. Maybe I'll send him a message just now and find out where he is. Anyways, I didn't quite hear where I'm sending you off to, but it doesn't really matter because it's either going to be Tristan or Brent.
Well, ADHD McCurdy can't even listen to a link on the radio. Tusk, tusk, tusk. Well, it is Brent, and shortly we're actually on our way to Tristan. So we're going to have a quick look and give Tristan a quick hand in that area where the tracks of Tandi's cub are. We've checked all the water holes, and Djuma seems to be devoid of elephants at the moment. So Tristan and I decided to put our heads together and to see if we can speed up the tracking process with two of us checking that area very carefully. Taylor is apparently claiming that because I'm back at camp, she's become deaf. Well, if you had to ask anyone who the loudest person in our camp is, there is only one answer, and it goes like this: Taylor, because she's very loud. And she gets very excited, and we love her dearly, but she is definitely the loudest person in camp. Maybe she's still got green paint stuck in her ear from St. Paddy's Day. So there's been a tractor down this road during the day, so any tracks on top will be shining and new. Very, very fresh. Hello, Jocelyn. Jocelyn's wondering how many owl species do we get here? Well, barn owl, giant eagle owl, spotted eagle owl, barred owlet, pearl-spotted owlet, scops owlet, white-faced scops owl, grass owl, maybe a marsh owl, but not on Djuma. So there we go. 7 owls. In southern Africa, there's a few more. And in areas not too far from here where there's big permanent rivers, we get owls like Pearl's fishing owl and stuff like that as well. But not here. We don't have enough permanent water. Okay, we are in the area where Tristan is now. So we see where he wants me to check. Tristan. Just coming down from Cheetah Cut Line, where would you like me to check? Copy, will do. Have you done the fire break yet? Okay. Copy, thanks. Oh yeah, so Tristan's on the other side of this block at the moment, so we're going to go along Hippo Pools towards Buffalo's Hook Dam, give him a hand. Hopefully with 2 of our vehicles in the area, we're going to do double our chances. Now, of course, the Nkuhumas are very close to Cheetah Cut Line, but about 1 kilometer further to the south. Okay, let's have a look here now. So Trish just wants me to have a look at the tracks, make sure. Okay, while I check out the tracks here, let's go across to Taylor, who's got a raptor.
We do, and I think it's just a very thirsty one. It looks like a juvenile gymnogene, or African harrier hawk is the new name. Well, the reason why I think that is just from looking at its facial skin. See how yellow it is? even quite yellow around the eye. That's very cool. But it was being mobbed horribly by those blacksmith lapwing, but they seem to be tolerating it now. Perhaps they've realized that it's not quite after them. It was just indeed coming down for a drink. Wouldn't it be nice if Snappy was around as well? It would be a good meal for Snappy. And young birds like this would definitely fall victim to being eaten by crocodiles just because they're so inexperienced. And he's not having a drink. Oh man, I wish we weren't so high up, but I know if I move the car, it's going to fly away. You can hear those lapwings alarming. You can also hear go-away birds alarming in the Mulwanini. That makes me want to go and investigate. But again, they could be alarming for a raptor too. Oh, they've stopped. I'm just listening out to all the birds alarming. There we go, still having a drink of water. Now, Daniel, you're wondering, is it harder to find placement as a guide in the Sabi sand? That's a difficult one to answer, Daniel, because it depends on your qualifications and your experience. You can get a job anywhere, in fact, as long as you've got the right qualifications. The problem is that everybody wants a 21-year-old guide with 10 years experience, level 2 full trails, which is, of course, you're never going to find a guide with so much experience and so young. I suppose it's like that in all careers, isn't it? Oi, having a bit of an argument, those two. Off it goes. Oi, not getting away clean though. Still being chased. So there are some lodges that will take on young guides that have just come out of training and then train them up how they want them to be trained. Look what I've just spotted, Seb. An elephant. Yay, it looks like it has already had a bath though, but maybe he'll come down for another one. But you probably got a better chance of finding a job at a smaller private game reserve just to start off with. And it does help if you know some people in the industry. Or perhaps somebody, your family knows someone that has a game reserve. These things, of course, all help. It's not what you know sometimes, it's who you know. That's definitely true wherever you go. But it can be quite tough to get into the Sabi Sand. Of course, it's the most sought-after destination to guide in South Africa. Everybody wants a chance to come and work here. Yeah, you can see he's completely wet. But that doesn't mean that he won't come down again. It could be quite nice, in fact. Wonder where he's had a wallow. There must have been a mud wallow somewhere. Nikki, you said he looks huge. Oh, he's a decent-sized elephant. I mean, he's not tiny. I don't think he's quite as big as Daryl. I think he's still got a bit of growing to do. He's got very tattered ears. He's been in the wars, that one. I wonder what he's doing. Is he smelling something? Maybe. Hello, boy. Or maybe he's just not a very big elephant. I have seen some small, old elephants before. With big tusks, like all the growth juice went to his tusks rather than the rest of his body. Not this elephant, another one that I saw actually on the border of the Sabi Sand in the Kruger National Park by the Sabi River. He was just in there having a swim. He was so small. Very quiet. I mean, he doesn't look like he's beelining from the dam. He's actually walking parallel to it at the moment, heading in the opposite direction, but that of course could change at any minute. He could come venturing on down. Perhaps he's got a favourite spot that he likes to drink water from. Maybe he's already been swimming. I'm just trying to think, because he doesn't look dirty. Normally when elephants, have a mud wallow, or at least use a small pan, they're typically covered in mud. I wonder if he hasn't snuck in here a little bit earlier, and then he's just done a loop. There's not many places that an elephant can completely submerge themselves. Maybe he went to Little Gowrie Dam. I think that gets quite deep. I've accidentally been there once. Turned around very quickly. We all do that when we're learning the roads. Very casual. Let's have a look. Oh, I didn't bring my binoculars, so I can't even see if he is in must. Doesn't look like it. I can't see any dribbling, and I am sitting downwind of him, and I can't smell him either, so perhaps we're safe. He's smelling something. Now, Speaking about this elephant's tatty ears, Dale, you said that you're surprised that we don't see more bloody ears because of the fact that the skin is so thin there and there are a lot of blood vessels. You're quite right. I've actually seen quite a few younger elephants, though, bleeding profusely from the ears, and it's just the tiniest of tears and probably been roughhousing a bit. Excuse me, hippos. I'm trying to do a show here. Gosh, you can't take these animals anywhere. We'll have a look at the hippos in a minute. So I actually have seen it, and you're quite right, it does bleed quite a lot. But I suppose because the skin is also quite thin there, it does sort of, the blood clots fairly quickly too. And maybe if they get an injury like that, maybe they'll throw sand over themselves. I've seen also lots of animals when they have got wounds, covering it with sand, whether that's just to keep the insects off, or maybe they know it will help stop it bleeding, like putting on a natural band-aid. I'm not really sure. And then off he goes. Shall we catch up to him? I just want to quickly show you, because I know you all love seeing dragonflies. On that dung over there, there's one sitting very still. It looks like a little abandoned groundling. Just have a quick look. I think it's the same one we saw the other day. That was frozen on a guarri tree in the morning. Hello. They were always quite nice to see. And it's not often you get to see a dragonfly sitting still either. I'm looking forward to spotting a few more dragonflies in South Africa. We got to see some beautifully coloured ones in the Mara. And it's just so hard, unless they sit on the edge of the water or pose perfectly on this elephant dung. We don't normally see them. Now, it's just stopped there to perch. They don't feed on vegetation. And these guys are ferocious hunters. So they'll fly after and catch all sorts of other flying insects on the go. It's just resting at the moment. But quite cool to see. There's another one, actually, down to the left. You might be able to see it. Go a little bit more to the left, and it's not on the dung. Keep going left. Yeah, okay, go zoom in center frame. Go down a bit. You've got it. Go zoom in. And then go to the right, up to the right. You've got it. There we go. Zoom in more. And then a little bit to the left. Now, go. There we go. You've got it. You've still... Yeah... Let's see if we can get it again, because it was a different species. I can't see it anymore. Is that it maybe a little bit down from there? No, it's not in frame anymore, unfortunately. You had it. No, I don't know what it was. I'm not sure what it was, unfortunately. Different one. Oh well.
Oh wait, I've got him.
Have you? Oh, there he is. Cool. That's the other species of dragonfly. I don't know what that one is. It's got little dots on the end of the wing. Looks like it's got a bit of yellow on it too, but it's so far away. It's so difficult to see. Really make out, look how camouflaged it is. I mean, that could be a stick for all I know. Wow. But definitely a different species of dragonfly, but I think that's going to be a bit hard. Okay, let's try and find our elephant again. We are going to be doing an hour and a half of school drives. They are starting soon. So I'm probably going to try and head up towards the elephant and maybe start there and then work our way back down towards the dam when the hippos get a little bit more active, because they're just chilling for the moment. And then there'll be lots of Egyptian geese to talk about. I'm sure we'll have a look at some more dragonflies. There seems to be a lot hanging around here, so that's good to know. Natalie, you're wondering, what could you learn from looking at elephant tusks? Quite a few things, in fact. You'll be able to tell if they are left or right trunk tusked. They tend to have a preference, and you will use one trunk more than the other. Well, there's lots of things. We'll definitely be coming back here. So that's one thing you can learn from them. You can also see what they've been doing for the day. Yeah, I will come back. So maybe you can notice there's a lot of mud on the tusks, so then you know they've been in the muddy wallows. Perhaps there's some red sort of bark that's been left over on the trees, and you know maybe they've been trying to debark a marula tree. So you can kind of tell what the elephant has been doing for the day, or perhaps if they're completely white, then you know it must have been for a swim at some point and brushed its teeth. So there are many, many different things. Aging an elephant with its tusks is very difficult, and I wouldn't say you should use that, because some elephants don't get any tusks due to a genetic mutation. So yeah, some elephants get exceptionally large tusks, some get smaller ones. Hello, Nyala. trying to catch this elephant. He's slowly walking over there. Oxpeckers are having an absolute field day today. Off we go. Come on. We'll come back to you. And there he is. I'm going to go all the way around and get to him eventually. I'm also just scouting for all sorts of other animals along the way. That sounds wonderful, Nikki. Wonderful. Just check here, because this is where the go-away birds were alarming. So we know how we missed Tingana a few times the other day. He was laying in the long grass. Just make sure that there's no one there. Scanning around, checking all those marulas as well, all those marula trees. And go up. Very quiet. I think we could be the only ones driving on Chitwa, in fact. I think everyone has vacated the property. Is that a musty smell I'm smelling? I'm not sure. Okay, I'm going to examine this elephant a little bit closer to see if he is in fact in must or not. We're about to start the school drive, and Tristan is going to be the one that gets to start it.
Indeed I am, Taylor. Well done for figuring it out this time. But it is a very, very, very warm welcome to West Middle School. I hope that you are going to have the most wonderful afternoon with us. Remember that this is a live interactive safari, so you are able to ask all the questions that you have in the world. My name is Tristan, and on camera today is David. There's his thumb. And how you ask questions is you just give them to your teacher, and she'll send them all across to us, and we'll try and get through as many as possible. Now, sitting on top of that termite mound is a small little carnivore. In fact, it's the smallest mammal carnivore that we've got, or land-based mammal carnivore, should I say, because we do get bats here too that can eat insects. And so these little carnivores are called dwarf mongoose, and they live in groups together. You can see they're very well hidden. Just look for a bit of movement behind the grasses. You'll see their little heads twitching, their ears moving, and they're very aware of their environment. They have to be able to watch what's going on, not only because they want to be looking out for food. These guys will hunt all kinds of insects, snakes, spiders, scorpions, but they're also on the lookout for other predators. Because they're very small, there's things like birds of prey, snakes that will go after them, even things like leopards. And that's why it's interesting for us to sit with them, because we're busy trying to find ourselves a female leopard. And she's been in this area moving around throughout this morning, and during the day we found her tracks. And so I was sitting with these guys in the hope that maybe they would spot her and they would start to alarm call, and they would start to make a little bit of noise, and we would then know where the female leopard is. These guys don't like leopards at all. They'll know that a leopard is very dangerous, and so if they see one, they're going to make a bit of noise, and then they're going to scuttle into this big mound of soil. Now, this big mound of soil that you see here is the perfect place for dwarf mongoose to spend time, and it is known as a termite mound. So it's been built by termites, and the termites have now left. They're no longer there. You can see there's bits of grass that's growing on the termite mound, and because they built this big structure, it's a great place for others to use for safety, because leopards would have to try and dig to get them out, and so they can just go inside there and spend time hiding away, and they can use the grass to camouflage a little bit. So it's the perfect place to spend a lot of time. But they're one of my favorite little animals that we have out here. They're always busy, always doing something and trying to kind of get up to no good, and so I thoroughly enjoy watching them. You can see they've now scuttled off, so they've gone down on the back side of the mound. So we're going to carry on and see what else we can find. These guys, is there one back there again, Dave? I don't know. I think there's just one little head that poked up again very briefly and then disappeared somewhere in that area. Right, so we're going to try and kind of carry on, try and see if we can find where this leopard is. Maybe we'll be able to find it now that it's getting a little bit cooler. While we do that, I'm going to send you across to my friend Brent so he can say hello, and who's also in the area trying to help us find this leopard.
Welcome West Middle School in Colorado. Great to have you on the vehicle, and I can't wait for all your questions to come through. Now, Tristan and I are both looking for the same female leopard with a baby, and I've just been walking through this thick bush. You can see there's no road in front of me. Oh, beautiful bird. Let's see if it lands. Oh, let me just go a bit closer. And I found tracks on top of a termite mound, and leopards like termite mounds, and they were going this way. So I just want to have a quick look here. I think they might even have a kill around here somewhere. There's the very pretty bird I saw. It is called a woodland kingfisher. There it is. It's got a beautiful electric blue colouring. And it's called a kingfisher, even though it doesn't eat any fish. So you have a lot of kingfisher species in Africa that don't fish for fish. They eat insects and frogs and centipedes and scorpions, and this is one of them, the woodland kingfisher. Very, very pretty bird. West Middle School would like to know what is our exact location. Well, I'm going to start big and end small. So we are on the planet Earth, on the continent of Africa, in the country of South Africa, in the province, or what you would call the state in the US, of Mpumalanga. Now, Mpuma means come out, and Langa means sun in Zulu, so which means we're on the eastern part of the country. And we are within a 2.7 million hectare wilderness area called the Greater Kruger National Park, where there are no fences and the animals are able to roam free. Then we go smaller. We are within the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, which is 60,000 hectares, and we are in the northern corner of the Sabi Sands Game Reserve on two wonderful places called Djuma and Chitwa. And we are very lucky. There are a lot of leopards, lions, elephants, buffalo, all sorts of wonderful creatures here. But I'm very excited to see if we can find this female leopard. Tristan and I are going to be working very hard. I'm convinced she's very, very close. We had tracks in the sand that was so fresh, I'd say she was in this area about an hour or so ago. So it's definitely, I think she might have a kill somewhere hidden in one of these trees. So we're going to keep bumbling through here. West Middle School's wondering what type of leopard we are looking for. We are looking for the African leopard, Panthera pardus. So you do get Indian leopards and Asian leopards, Indian leopards, and you do have some animals that are called leopards but are not quite leopards, like the clouded leopard from the islands of Borneo and stuff. It is not a Panthera cat, so a Panthera is the big cat. So your Panthera, a lion, leopard, snow leopard, tiger and jaguar. And what makes them Panthera is their ability to roar. So they have a special bone, or a modified bone in their throat called the hyoid bone. And in the big cats, in the Panthera cats, that bone has become cartilaginous, so it's cartilage. And so when they push air across it, they are able to make a roar. So a leopard call actually sounds more like someone sawing wood. So a leopard call sounds like this. So that's what a leopard call sounds like. So it is still called a roar, although we call it sawing, because it just does sound like sawing. So tigers can roar, jaguars can roar, snow leopards and leopards. Now, your other cats like cheetah and mountain lion are unable to roar, so that bone, that hyoid apparatus, that hyoid area is solid bone. So that means they are unable to push air across it and cause it to vibrate, so they can't roar. So they are not Panthera. They are not so part of that big cat family. They, of course, are big cats. Now, I'm just trying to think, if I was a leopard, where would I be? The last footprints I had were probably about 50 meters away from me here, while I was walking through the bush. Now, we do that quite often to find leopards and lions. Don't worry, we are quite safe. We will actually walk on foot following their footprints till we find them. And when we come back, I'll explain to you a little bit more about why it's safe to do so if you're an experienced safari guide. In the meantime, it sounds like Taylor has got the largest land mammal in the world to show you.
I hope you're not talking about me, Brent. I'm only teasing, of course we do. We have got the elephant, and it is a big elephant bull too. So there are very few creatures that get larger than this, only the ones that live in the ocean. Otherwise, he does tower above the rest. Hello to all of you from West Middle School. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. I'm very, very excited to have you all on board, and I'm looking forward to all your questions today. Now, I have to tell you about this elephant bull and why we're not going to go too close to him, and hopefully he'll come out behind the bushes so I can show you exactly those reasons. So before I even get into that, we watch him have something to eat, because elephants are always eating, which I suppose is why they're one of the largest, or are the largest of them all. There he is. Can you believe that such a large animal can hide behind such a small tree? Pretty amazing how they blend into the vegetation. Now, hopefully he walks a little bit to the left, because I don't want to go chasing after this elephant, because he's a really, really big elephant bull, and he's coming into must. So what must means, it's basically a state where their bodies are producing a lot of testosterone. So the hormone that, of course, helps you become a boy. And he's producing so much of it now, he's basically just focused on looking for the females. I'm going to go forward slightly, but I'm not going to go any closer to him. Now, the problem comes in is that normally elephants are very relaxed and very calm vehicles, and they don't mind us, but because they're not thinking straight, they can sometimes sort of be quite aggressive, and they're known to be quite naughty. I think he's only just coming into must now, so we don't want to disturb him and push the boundaries too much. He is the only animal archer that can turn this vehicle over, so it's very, very important that when you come out on a safari, that you respect the elephants, and when they tell you that they're unhappy with you, you move away. And because I've been a guide for so long now, any guide will tell you, you typically try and keep away from the must bulls, just because they're a little bit unpredictable, and you don't want to get yourself into any tricky situations. But he looks like he's almost black in color. Now, that's not the typical color of an elephant. He's been for a swim. Oh, look how he stretches up. Stretching up into that marula tree. What you doing? I wonder if he's going to stand. Look, he's shaking it. Wait, did you see those green balls falling out of the tree? Those are fruit from the marula tree, one of the favorite foods of the elephant. But unfortunately, marula season is coming to an end. At the end of March, there will be no more. We'll have to wait a whole year before we will see them bear fruit again. So that's a female marula tree. It's only the female trees that bear the fruit. The male trees don't. And elephants are exceptionally lucky. They're the only ones that can shake a tree like that. And you saw him, he wrapped his trunk around that branch, very strong animals, and shook it like it was nothing. And then got the last of the fruits. Sometimes they also stand up on their back legs if they're trying to reach pods off the tops of trees. You maybe have seen some famous pictures. We don't normally see it too often in South Africa, but they do it here. They typically do it in the Lower Zambezi National Park, which is in Zambia, and then in Mana Pools, which is in Zimbabwe, where they reach up and feast off of the anna trees. I'll go forward again, Seb. All right, let's go forward just a little bit so we can catch him. Gone behind the termite mound now. Are you wondering about whether there are any animals, I think I got it correctly, any animals that are specifically protected? Because, actually, Nikki, I didn't quite get that question. I'm so sorry. Please, can you have it again? I didn't hear it properly. There we go. Okay, no, I was thinking of the right thing. So it was due to, are there any animals that are protected specifically due to the fact that their numbers are decreasing? And most certainly, out here though, in the Sabi Sand, Wildtuin, so that's the private game reserve that we're on at the moment, but it's open to the Kruger. I think Brent was telling you a little bit about it, or Tristan was telling you about it. He just doesn't want to be on camera, this elephant. They protect all the animals out here. So not only is it something like rhinos, which numbers are dwindling, or something like a pangolin, you may know it as an armadillo, or even lions, because there are more lions in captivity than there are in the wild these days, which is a very sad statistic. They will protect all the animals. So They have anti-poaching teams out here that will stop people coming in and shooting elephants for their ivory, stop poaching rhinos for their horns, or lions for their skin and bones, or pangolin for their meat, and they use them for all sorts of traditional medicines, or even vultures to an extent. So there are lots and lots of different ways that they'll try and protect these animals. They often have helicopters flying around. They have people on the ground patrolling 24/7, so day and night, making sure that no bad people come on and try and harm these animals. Even an antelope, like an impala, they would not tolerate anybody killing them, even if it was just for meat. There's none of that allowed on here. No hunting, nothing. The only thing you can shoot with is your camera. That's literally it, which I suppose is the best way. And the animal survives and you can keep the picture for your whole life. So yeah, so there are lots and lots of animals all over Africa. Most of the game reserves or wilderness areas in Africa do have anti-poaching teams to try and protect these animals. And it's not just the animals, it's the plant species too. I can't tell you how much deforestation happens because people go out and cut down trees for firewood. So it's also illegal to collect firewood in a lot of areas and wilderness areas, so they protect the plants too. There's some plants you're not even allowed to cut a branch off of. For instance, like some of the milkwood species. There we go. This is not an elephant though. This is a group of Egyptian geese feeding on the grass seeds. And they're quite cool. Very hungry. I reckon they're doing a last little bit of feeding before they're going to go back to the water's edge, or perhaps perch themselves up in a tree. Very, very busy though. Everybody's eating the grass seeds at the moment. We had a warthog a little bit earlier this afternoon that was also munching on just the tops of the grasses. They're going to make the most of the most nutritious part of the plant, and that's of course it. They're flowering. It'll be really, really good for them. But I'm trying to go around to that elephant again. Let's see if we can get another view of him, because there was a question from Joel about how much can a big elephant like that weigh. So the average weight of elephant bull in the Kruger is about 5 tons, between 4.5 and 5 tons. However, you do get some exceptionally large elephants that will weigh between 5.5 and 6 tons. But sadly, there aren't very many of those left, because normally those massive elephants will have big tusks to go with them. And like we were just talking about poaching, a lot of people try to many years ago, when the biggest tuskers were roaming around, so that's what we call a big elephant bull with really big tusks, is a tusker. Unfortunately, they are not even alive anymore because they've been shot and had their tusks and all their ivory taken away from them. So it's quite sad. But I believe in the northern parts of the Kruger National Park, which is also one of the most famous wildlife areas in South Africa, and there are apparently some really big bulls starting to develop, which was quite nice. I'm going to just keep away from him. Like I said, I want to give him room. I don't want to get too close. Also, if he has a change in heart and he doesn't like us anymore, I can also drive away from him. I want to make sure I've got enough space, so that's also very important. But now you can see he has got 5 legs. That's just one of those things, I suppose. And there's a really cool bird that's going to follow that elephant around. There's actually 2 of them. They're called fork-tailed drongos. Now, this is a really amazing relationship, quite a cool symbiosis that animals will have with one another. So the fork-tailed drongos, and a lot of other bird species, from wattled starlings to cattle egrets, will actually follow the larger mammals as they move through the grass. And as that elephant walks, he's chasing up grasshoppers and all sorts of other little creatures that those birds will be wanting to feed on. So this is a type of symbiosis. So essentially the elephant's not really benefiting from it. The birds are really just are winning in this situation. They're getting a free meal. That elephant is helping them. There's an impala as well, just on the right hand side of that tree where that elephant is walking towards. There's quite a few of them, in fact. But we're going to stick around here. There's still a big dam we need to go to see all the creatures that are playing around inside there. They're the impalas. Brent is still listening out to see if there are any birds alarming at a leopard.
Well, I'm pretty sure those leopards are very, very close to us. I've found their kill, and it's a big male impala. And there's not much left of it, but there's enough that they're going to be very close to us here. So I was actually, where I found their footprints when I was walking was on that termite mound, that one there. So I don't want to move around too much or too quickly, and I don't want to scare the leopards because I'm pretty sure they're really, really close to us at the moment. Now, it's always very important to drive carefully and respectfully around these animals so they remain habituated to our game drive vehicles. I'm just going to move a little bit to see if they're not sleeping just over here. Now, it's always very important when you're in a situation like this. You start the car, you let it run for a few seconds before you start moving, so the animals get used to the sound before you start moving. Now, Stephen's wondering, how do mother leopards and their cubs react to humans? Now, Stephen, it all depends. In an area like this where they're completely protected and they're not harassed, and is that her there hiding in the grass? No. They tend to be quite relaxed around the cars, less so on foot. So even though we find a lot of the leopards while walking, certain leopards are more relaxed on foot than others. So often she's going to be sleeping under one of these thickets here. And as I say, I don't want to drive too close to spook them. Even though she's grown up with safari vehicles around, it's the same as anyone coming too close into your personal space. It's just not nice. So before I go in there, I just want to make sure that that's not where she's sleeping. I'll just have a look with my binoculars in that little thicket there. Now, you wouldn't believe that an adult leopard can disappear into something like that, but they can. So she's here somewhere. Very, very close. Now, Taylor was saying I was listening for alarm calls. So, birds, if they see the leopards, birds will alarm call at leopards. Now, I'm just trying to... I thought I saw spots in that bush. Craig, do you see any spots in that bush? I don't think so. But it's always worth checking. So I'm checking very slowly and carefully as I don't want to scare the animals. Wait, what's that? No, it's just a patch of sand in there. So now I just saw it. Looked, the bottom left of the bush looked like a leopard there, but it was actually just some sand. Okay. I'm just going to go slowly through here. I'm very confident we're going to find the leopard, but because the grass is long and she's got a young cub, I'm moving very, very carefully and very, very slowly and very, very, well, with as much sensitivity as possible. Oopsie. Now, this leopard we're looking for, her name is Tundi, and her cub is about 5 months or 6 months old? I'm not sure. I've been in Kenya for a year, so I've only been back in the Sabi. Ooh, is that her there? Now, even when I move to have a look in that bush, when you stand up, you can often show the upright figure of man, which can cause the animals to be aggressive or run away, neither of which we want. So even when I'm moving in the car in a situation like this, I'm moving very, very carefully. I'm just trying to look into those dark thickets. Okay, no, not there. Okay, so while I try to find exactly where these leopards are, let's go across to Tristan to see where he's off to next.
Well, Brent, good luck. I hope that you find exactly where they are. I'm sure they're not very far from there at all. And that's the best thing about working out here, is when you help each other to find things. So we found the tracks and Brent came in and managed to find where the kill was, which is very, very good. So together we managed to at least find where she's roughly been hanging about, and I'm sure he will find her. I don't think she would have gone very far. When there's food and a little baby involved, then I'm pretty sure she's going to stay quite close to that area, so I'm sure Brent will get some luck in the next little bit. Now that means that we are going to try and turn our attentions to something different. So we're going to try and see what else we can go and find while Brent hangs around there and Taylor is further south of us. We're going to try and see if maybe, just maybe, the Nkuhuma pride is around somewhere. So the Nkuhuma pride is a pride of lions that we get in this area. There is 5 females in there and 6 sub-adults and 1 little cub, and they were seen not far from our area that we're in right now, and they were kind of lounging around on the road this morning. Now there's no sign of them at the moment, but it's not to say that they don't pop out fairly shortly. The conditions are actually pretty good now. There's a bit of cloud cover that's come over, and so it's starting to get nice and cool, and when there's cooler weather, you'll find that lions will often start getting up and start moving. Now, the other reason why they might start moving in the direction of where we are is because of that big pile in front of us in the road. So there is a pile of dung, and that dung is made by buffalo, which is what the lions in this area absolutely love to eat. That's their favorite food item, and so those buffalo were there last night, and what's probably happening is these lions are slowly but surely following on the tracks of the buffalo, trying to kind of catch up with them. And so if there's buffalo tracks here, that hopefully means that the lions eventually will pop out somewhere in this area. The problem that we have at the moment is that lions and leopards, like Brent will tell you, are very well camouflaged animals, and in long grass like this, it makes it quite tough to sometimes spot them. So what we're going to hope is, now that it gets a little cooler, is that they're going to be able to come out, and we'll find them milling around, maybe trying to kind of hunt down these buffalo and see exactly where they go. So that's the kind of plan, but it's good news that we've got some buffalo tracks around, and that the lions we're seen in this general area. Maybe it's going to mean that we'll have them coming out and about. So, Marin, you're asking what symbiotic relationships exist between plants and animals. Well, there's quite a few of them, but probably one of the biggest ones at this time of the year is a relationship between a tree called a marula tree, which I'll show you very quickly what that looks like. So this big tree to my left-hand side, and apparently you saw an elephant shaking one just now, but that big tree there is called a marula tree. Now, they've just finished fruiting in the last few weeks, and they provide a lot of fruit that a lot of the animals eat, in particular elephants. So you saw the elephant shaking it, and the elephants try then get those fruits that they can then eat. Now, the reason why it's a symbiotic relationship is because what's happening is, even though the elephants are feeding off of this tree and eating all of the fruits, as the elephant pops the fruit in, it then walks off, and as it walks off over the course of the next 4 to 6 hours, it kind of covers quite a bit of ground. It then defecates that fruit that it's eaten, the seed that was inside there, in amongst its dung, which is basically like a big pile of fertilizer, and it then transports the seed away from the tree. So it's actually acting as an agent of dispersal for the tree, and so the fruits, being very tasty, are an attractant for animals to then pick them up and start taking them and moving them off into other areas. So that's probably the biggest sort of symbiotic relationship at the moment. There's also a number of other plants that come out that have certain types of flowers that crab spiders will live in. We get a thing called a flower mantis that you'll use flowers to camouflage and be able to then catch insects so that the flower doesn't get damaged itself by things like aphids or ants or anything that wants to eat the tree. So there's a number of different things that exists out here, but at the moment the marulas is probably the biggest one that we see. Now hopefully we'll be able to find some ellies, maybe a herd of them. It would be quite nice to have a herd of elephants around. So, Olivia, you're asking how fast lions move to catch their prey. Well, when they're in a full-blooded sprint, they're moving at about 35 miles an hour. That's about as fast as they'll go. Normally you'll find, though, that in a situation like this is they'll start walking, and they kind of cover ground by walking slowly and purposefully, and then only once they get into a point where they can position themselves that they can chase that animal is when they'll go into that full sprint. Cats, unfortunately, don't have the ability to run at that speed for endless amounts of time, and so short little bursts of around 35, 36 miles an hour that they go after the buffalo or the prey animal, and then they have to stop fairly quickly. It's not the fastest cat that we have out here. We obviously have a faster cat in the form of a cheetah, which runs much, much quicker than that and will be able to do close to 55, 60 miles an hour, which is incredibly fast and is obviously the fastest of the land-based predators that we have. And those guys can really move, but they can only sustain that for about 90 seconds, so which is not very long. Right, now we have got, I believe, Brent, who is not very fast in his own right, although he is faster than some of the others in our team, but he has found one of the very cats that we've been talking about.